Hi, ho students, Mr. Kaczynski with you. Going to go through the second part of the Chapter 3 test, which was number 17 through 22, covered standard 3B. So this is solving equations, basically. These two, we're just going to solve the equation. We're going to give the action taken for each step. All right, here we go. So my first step here is going to be to get rid of that negative 12. So to do that, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So I'll put that right here. Add 12 to both sides. All right, next up. I'm going to get rid of that negative 6. So that'll leave me with 1 minus 2x over here. Over here, I'm doing 12 divided by negative 6, which is negative 2. So what did I just do? Let's put it down here. Divide both sides by negative 6. All right, getting closer now. Let's get rid of that 1 by subtracting 1 from both sides. So subtract 1 from both sides. And lastly, we just got to get rid of that negative 2 in front of the x. Currently, that's multiplication. To undo multiplication, we divide. So negative 3 divided by negative 2 would just be 3/2 or 1.5. So again, how did we get there? We divide both sides by negative 2. All right, moving on to this next one here. 9 plus 4x over 3 equals negative 2. The first thing I'm going to do is undo that division there. So let's multiply both sides by negative 6. Multiply both sides by negative 6. I'm going to write that down. You should include that in your notes as well. Or multiply both sides by 3. I think I might have said 6, but I meant by 3. All right, next up, let's get rid of that 9. So let's subtract 9 from both sides. Oops. That gives me negative 15 on the right. So divide both sides by 4, or I'm sorry, we subtracted. Getting a step ahead of myself. Subtract 9 from both sides. And last step, all we got to do is divide both sides by 4, and we'll get negative 15 over 4. Or what's that come out to? It's like negative 3 and 0.75, right? Negative 3.75, either way. So divide both sides by 4. And there's our answer, negative 15/4. All right, moving on to 19. Same idea, but now we've got a formula that's got multiple variables. We want to get h solved by itself, okay? You can actually do this in one step. We'll do it in 2, though. So let's do the first one here. Let's multiply both sides by 3. That'll give us, let's use purple here, 3v equals pi r squared h, because the 3's will cancel out. And then our next step is just going to be to divide by pi r squared. All right, and pi's will cancel out, r squareds will cancel out, just like the 3's canceled out up here. We end up with 3v over pi r squared equals h. And that is choice A right here. 3v over pi r squared equals h. Okay, 20 and 21. Remember, you can pause this anytime you want or rewind. We're trying to find the slope of each line, then we're going to say which one's steeper. Okay. Well, let's find the slope of E here. We'll call it M sub E. Let's do 8 minus 1. That's the change in the y's. Over 3 minus 7. That's the change in the x's. So that gives us 7 over negative 4. And 7 divided by negative 4 is negative 1.75. I think for comparison's sakes here, I think we'll just use decimals here. So what about the slope of line F? We're going to do negative 1. Nope, sorry. We're going to do 9 minus 2. That's the change in the y's. And negative 1 minus 2. That gives me 7 over negative 3. 7 over negative 3 is negative 2.3 repeating. Since negative 2.3 has a greater absolute value than negative 1.75, that means line F is steeper. Line F is steeper. All right, what about P and Q down here? Well, one thing I noticed right off the bat, but I'll hold on that. Let's do 6 minus negative 3. That's our change in y for P. And 1.6 minus 1.6, you're going to get 0 on the bottom here. That means it's an undefined slope. It's an undefined slope. All right, same thing here. Let's do 13 minus 10. Undefined slope means it's vertical. It's really, really steep. And let's do negative 3 minus negative 3. Again, you're going to get 0 here on the denominator. So neither line is any steeper than the other because they are both vertical lines. All right, last one. Maria told Grace she would pick her up from basketball practice. Maria knows Grace lives about 7 miles from her house. Grace lives about 7 miles from her house. Plus or minus, I've been using orange for my plus or minus 0.5 miles. She can drive an average of 45 miles an hour. Write an equation that models the distance in time that distance in miles that Maria is from Grace's house, D, that's distance, in terms of the time in hours after she leaves to pick her up. So in terms of T. All right, so we're going to do 7 plus or minus 0.5. And then you got to remember that we are getting closer to the destination, so we're subtracting 45 miles every hour. So minus 45 times T. There's our equation. So, all right, that'll get the job done. That's everything you need to be able to be eligible for a retake, that and having your homework turned in. So hopefully this helped clear up some misconceptions, and I'll see you again soon.